Have you ever found yourself putting things off, thinking, I'll get to it tomorrow? What if I told you that even the tiniest actions or inactions can have a huge impact on the world around you? Stick around, because today we're diving into a story about a little ant named Anton who learned the hard way that procrastination doesn't just affect him, it affects everyone. Trust me, this tale might just change the way you think about your tomorrows. Let's get started. In a well-organized anthill teeming with thousands of industrious ants, there was a little ant named Anton. While his fellow ants bustled about, tirelessly collecting food, digging tunnels, and caring for the larvae, Anton was different. He found ways to avoid his responsibilities, often slipping away to watch the clouds drift lazily across the sky. When he wasn't staring dreamily upward, he would lounge in a quiet corner, lost in daydreams, far removed from the hum of activity around him. Anton's whimsical nature made him the subject of many a whispered complaint among the workers. Why doesn't he help? Some would grumble, while others shook their heads in dismay, too busy to confront him. Yet in Anton's heart, there burned a quiet hope, a feeling that his dreams held something bigger than the endless march of labor that defined the anthill. Despite the growing dissatisfaction among his peers, Anton began to notice something peculiar during his escapades. He observed patterns in the shadows cast by the sun through the grass, the way the wind whispered over the anthill, and how distant storms would alter the world's rhythm. Unknowingly, he was piecing together knowledge that no other ant had time to notice, absorbed as they were in their tasks. Anton knew he had obligations, but he always found a reason to put them off. Day after day, he postponed his tasks, telling himself he could do them tomorrow. Yet, as the weeks wore on, the effects of his procrastination became evident. The food supplies were dwindling, the tunnels were beginning to crumble, and the once seamless harmony of the colony was slowly unraveling. One sunny morning, in the heart of the anthill, as Anton lay lounging under the shade of a leaf, a determined ant named Julia approached him. Julia was known for her no-nonsense attitude and her unwavering dedication to the colony. Her antennae twitched with irritation as she stood before Anton, blocking his view of the rustling leaves above. "Anton," she began, her voice firm yet not unkind, "we need to talk." Anton blinked up at her, startled by her serious tone. "About what, Julia?" he asked, though deep down he already knew. Julia didn't mince words. "Your excuses are affecting everyone. The food stocks are running low, the tunnels need repairs, and the colony is struggling. We all have our roles to play, Anton, and yours matters as much as anyone else's." Anton shifted uncomfortably, avoiding her gaze. He had always thought his delays were harmless, but hearing the consequences laid out so plainly stung. "I didn't realize it was that bad," he murmured. Julia softened slightly, sensing his guilt. "It's not too late to change things. We all rely on each other here, Anton. You can still make a difference, but it has to start now." For the first time, Anton truly listened. Julia's words stirred something in him, a sense of responsibility he had long ignored. He stood, brushing off the dirt, and gave her a small nod. "You're right. I've been selfish, and it's time I did my part." Julia smiled, a hint of relief in her expression. "Then let's get to work. Together." "Hi, Anton," began Julia, her face serious and her antennae twitching slightly. "Can I ask you something?" Anton looked up, caught off guard by Julia's direct approach. He nodded hesitantly, curiosity flickering in his eyes. "Sure, Julia. What's on your mind?" Julia took a deep breath, steadying herself. "I've noticed that you spend a lot of time doing nothing while others, especially the older ants, work tirelessly to keep our anthill running. Don't you feel even a little ashamed of wasting your time while they work so hard?" Anton swallowed hard, Julia's words striking him like a cold gust of wind. His chest tightened as he struggled to find the right response. He knew she was right, but admitting it out loud felt like facing a mountain. "Julia," he began, his voice faltering. He paused, then forced himself to meet her gaze. "I know it must seem like I'm lazy, but that's not my intention. Sometimes I just feel overwhelmed by everything. So I put things off. I didn't realize how it looked to you and everyone else. But I get it now, and I promise I'll try to do better." Julia studied him carefully, her stern expression softening just a bit. "I understand feeling overwhelmed, Anton. We all do sometimes. But the colony depends on each of us. If one ant doesn't pull their weight, others have to work twice as hard. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to try." Anton nodded, her words sinking in. "You're right, Julia. I've let everyone down, but I want to make it right. Starting today." A small smile crept onto Julia's face. "Good. Because we could use your help. Let's get moving. There's plenty to do." Julia looked at Anton, her gaze softening as she caught the mix of sincerity and vulnerability in his eyes. She let out a quiet sigh, her earlier frustration melting into compassion. "I understand, Anton," she said gently. "We all go through tough moments, but it's important to push through them together. If you ever need help or support, you can count on me and the others. We're all on the same team." Anton nodded, a sense of relief washing over him, as if a heavy weight had been lifted. He knew he had a lot to learn, but for the first time, he felt the strength of the community around him. "Thank you, Julia," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. "I really appreciate your words. I'll do my best not to let you down." Julia smiled warmly, her antennae twitching in encouragement. With a gentle nod, she turned and walked away, leaving Anton to reflect. He sat quietly, turning her words over in his mind. He resolved to change, not out of obligation, but from a newfound desire to contribute. One day, as Anton sat in the shade of a leaf, pondering his next steps, his gaze fell on an elderly ant struggling to carry a heavy load of food back to the anthill. The sight struck a chord in him, stirring a determination he hadn't felt before. Anton sprang to his feet and rushed over. "Here, let me help you," he called, gently taking the load from the older ant. She looked up at him in surprise, her face lighting up with a smile. "Thank you, Anton," she said, her voice warm and tired. As they walked together, Anton realized how much joy there was in helping others. For the first time, he felt truly connected to the colony, not as an observer, but as an active participant. Anton realized that if he had taken his responsibilities seriously from the beginning, he could have helped the elderly ant sooner and spare the colony many of its current struggles. This realization filled him with regret, but also with a newfound determination to change. No more excuses, Anton decided it was time to step up. Driven by his resolve, he joined his fellow ants in their relentless efforts to restore the anthill to its former glory. Day after day, he worked tirelessly, repairing crumbling tunnels, gathering food, and supporting his companions wherever he could. Along the way, Anton learned an invaluable lesson. While procrastination may seem harmless in the moment, its ripple effects can impact not only oneself but an entire community. Over time, the collective efforts of Anton and the other ants bore fruit. The anthill returned to its former prosperity, food stores overflowed, the tunnels were strong and secure, and harmony was restored. The colony thrived, and with it, Anton found a sense of fulfillment he had never known before. There was no greater satisfaction, he discovered, than knowing he had played his part. By embracing his responsibilities, he not only contributed to the well-being of his community, but also grew into a better version of himself. From that day forward, Anton became a shining example for all the ants in the anthill. His journey of growth and redemption inspired everyone to work together, reminding them that even the smallest creatures can overcome the greatest challenges through determination and hard work. If this story has touched your heart in some way, we invite you to share it with your friends and subscribe to our channel. In the comments, tell us about an experience that has left a mark on your life. Share your stories and insights with us. We'd love to hear them. May God bless you, and we hope to see you in the next video.